In today's video, I'm going to tell you the story of a woman who dreams of a life far from the hustle and bustle of the city. Since she was young, she saw herself as an independent person, always looking for ways to be self-sufficient and avoid the stress of intense social interactions. She envisioned an idealized future where she could wake up every morning to the sound of birds singing, grow her own food, and dedicate herself to her online business without interruptions. Her vision was clear. Living on a secluded farm would offer the peace and autonomy she valued so much. She believed that by minimizing social interactions, she could fully focus on her passions and professional goals. She spent years meticulously planning every detail of her future life in the countryside, from choosing the land to structuring her digital business, hoping to finally achieve the serenity and independence she always wanted. But before we continue, please help the channel grow by subscribing, liking the video, or sharing it with someone you know who self-sabotages their dreams. Now, let's continue. As she begins to realize her dream of living on a farm, she comes across a golden opportunity, an exceptional offer to buy a piece of land perfect for her needs. However, to everyone's surprise, she turns down the offer. The reason? Trivial things like the color of the soil or the position of the trees. This decision doesn't make sense to those who know her burning desire to settle in the countryside, revealing a pattern of self-sabotaging behavior. Another striking example of her self-sabotage occurs when she decides to stop posting on her social media. Her profiles had attracted a considerable number of followers, engaged with the content she shared about her journey and lifestyle. This audience represented a potential source of income and support for her online business. Still, for no clear reason, she stops her social media activities, stepping away from an opportunity that could boost her success. These contradictory behaviors indicate an internal battle she wages with herself, where her actions sabotage her own goals and dreams. As she tries to understand these contradictory actions, she begins to reflect on the underlying causes of her self-sabotage. In introspection sessions and conversations with close friends, she discovers that these attitudes may be rooted in deep fears and insecurities she had not fully faced. Fear of failure, fear of success, and even fear of losing the independence she values so much are factors influencing her decisions. These revelations are a turning point in her journey. She realizes that to overcome self-sabotage, she needs not only to recognize these fears, but also to actively work to face and transform them. As she progresses on her journey of self-discovery, it becomes evident that her conscious desire for isolation is only one facet of her complex personality. Deep down, her shadow, a subconscious part that psychologists describe as a collection of repressed desires, fears, and memories, craves human connection. This shadow manifests in subtle but powerful ways. For instance, even as she meticulously plans her isolated life on the farm, she finds herself seeking social interactions that she should theoretically avoid. She hitches rides to work, lives with roommates, and frequents community laundromats, all of which contradict her stated goal of total independence. This behavior is not mere coincidence, but rather an expression of the internal conflict she faces. The shadow, fueled by past hurts and experiences, desires reconnection with others, something she consciously does not acknowledge. This conflict generates persistent self-sabotage, blocking her progress and generating frustration. The key to overcoming this self-sabotage lies in understanding and accepting her shadow. She begins to explore her repressed emotions and recognize the past experiences that shaped her subconscious need for connection. This process is not easy. It requires keen observation and brutal honesty with herself. She begins to notice the small signs that she values human connections, the comfort of a casual conversation, the security of being surrounded by friends and family. She understands that to achieve true balance, she needs to adjust her goals to include both independence and social interaction. She starts envisioning a future where financial success offers her not only the freedom to live isolated, but also the flexibility to connect more deeply with those she cares about. In her words, she seeks a life of complete independence and autonomy. She dreams of a retreat where she can work alone and withdraw from society. However, her daily actions tell a different story. Every day, Maria hitches a ride to work instead of using her own transportation, putting her in daily contact with other people. She shares her living space with roommates, which inevitably involves constant interactions and shared responsibilities. Additionally, she takes her clothes to a community laundromat, where she meets and talks with various people. These activities, far from reflecting a life of isolation, demonstrate an active pursuit of social interaction. These contradictions are not just random choices, but rather manifestations of a subconscious desire for human connection, something she represses in her conscious thoughts. The duality between what she believes she wants and what her actions show creates an internal conflict that results in self-sabotage, preventing her from achieving her goals of complete independence. As she strives to understand her contradictory actions, she begins to realize that these interactions are not merely accidents or temporary deviations from her plans. They are, in fact, expressions of a part of her personality that she had ignored: her need for a human connection. This recognition is a turning point. She starts to explore her deeper motivations, seeking to understand why the idea of total independence is so appealing and at the same time so difficult to achieve. On her journey of self-discovery, she realizes that true independence does not mean living in absolute isolation, but rather finding a healthy balance between autonomy and social interaction. By recognizing this, she begins to reevaluate her goals and adjust her vision of the future to include meaningful moments of connection with others. She is one step away from achieving the financial success she has always longed for, but it is at this crucial moment that her shadow emerges in full force. This subconscious part of her personality creates mental and physical blocks that prevent her from moving forward. Suddenly, she finds herself overwhelmed by an intense feeling of fatigue, even after a restful night's sleep. Decisions that once seemed clear and rational become blurry and confusing, leading her to act recklessly. She procrastinates on essential tasks, postponing important projects without any logical reason. This behavior is not accidental. It is the shadow in action, trying to preserve a status quo that she consciously does not recognize. The shadow fears that by achieving success and financial independence, she may lose the human connection that on a deeper level she still values. This constant interference prevents her from reaching her goals, creating a cycle of frustration and self-sabotage. As she becomes aware of the shadow's impact on her life, she realizes she cannot simply ignore or suppress this part of her personality. To overcome these blocks, she decides to seek ways to integrate her conscious and subconscious desires. She begins to practice self-awareness techniques, such as meditation and therapy, which help her explore her emotions and past experiences. She learns to recognize the signs that her shadow is interfering and develops strategies to face these moments with more clarity and resilience. Over time, she discovers that instead of fighting against her shadow, she can work together with it, turning blocks into growth opportunities. This integration process not only alleviates the symptoms of self-sabotage, but also allows her to move forward confidently towards her financial and personal goals. Understanding the shadow is the key to overcoming self-sabotage. Instead of trying to eliminate this part of her personality, she needs to recognize and address both her conscious and subconscious needs. She begins to observe her daily actions with a new perspective, being brutally honest with herself about what she truly values. She realizes that despite her conscious desire for independence, human connection is a deep and legitimate need. Admitting this to herself is a crucial step. She understands that adjusting her goals to include time and freedom to connect with friends and family is not a sign of weakness, but a smart strategy to avoid self-sabotage. This balance allows her to progress towards her financial and personal goals in a more harmonious and sustainable way. To implement these changes, she adopts new practices in her routine. She begins to set aside time for social activities such as regular get-togethers with friends and participation in community events without feeling guilty for not working. At the same time, she sets clear boundaries for her online work, ensuring she has quality time for herself and others. This new balance brings a renewed sense of purpose and satisfaction. She notices that by meeting the needs of her shadow, she not only reduces self-sabotage, but also increases her productivity and overall well-being. Social interactions, once seen as distractions, become sources of energy and inspiration. This continuous process of adjustment and self-awareness has transformed her life, allowing her to move forward confidently towards her goals while maintaining a healthy connection with others. That was today's video. I hope it helped you in some way. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.